and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of the special July 4th edition of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Dr. G. She's in West Palm, and T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. Happy 4th of July. Gina, do you have insurance for your home? I'm sorry, what are you saying there, Terrence? I'm sorry.
Hold on, David. I'm sorry. I'm setting up our menu.
Yeah, no,
I'm
take
making
your
sure
time.
they put on the ribs.
Yeah.
Put on the ribs and that pork butt. Go on and put that on there. And then I'll be home in a few hours. Okay. I got to go. Got to get back to work. I'm sorry, guys. I had to get the menu ready.
Yeah, I like how you're taking care of business live on the show, T. Bates. That's very good. Hey, by the way, what I was saying, Gina, I want to make sure you have insurance at your home. Just double checking based on the fireworks that are going down on your home.
Yeah, it's probably already started while I'm not there because my kids see that as a grand opportunity to do all things that I don't allow them to do. And I have to say, my husband is very in on this. It's not as though my children are defiant because my husband is an accomplice to these blowing things up that seem to happen this time of year at my house. Yeah.
It's called rites of passage. All of these are rites of passage, Dr. G. You know, it's guy rites of passage. It's all good. It's going to be okay.
You know, I parented two girls first, and it was just all so easy and clean when they were little. They didn't blow things up. They just sat in the corner and played with dolls. And still to this day, they want to sit inside or sit outside with me and drink lemonade and talk life and do all the things. And boys are over there just setting bombs off while I'm just sitting there, an innocent victim in my own backyard. It's something else. But the food, I do love the food, and I love to cook, and I love my kitchen, and I love our grill, and so it makes me happy to be around the pool with my family.
Nice.
I can't wait to get off this show so I can go home and eat. I'm not going to even lie. Ribs, pork butt.
Pork butts and
Yes,
what was the
ma'am.
other thing? Ribs?
Ribs, yeah, we're going to do ribs. We're going to do pork butt. And then, of course, you got to have the obligatory potato salad. We've already had our conversation about potato salad. There's got to be just regular potato salad. Don't go putting, pretzels and dates and almonds and just regular.
No, but I like the red potato salid with the mayonnaise base instead of the mustard base with the other potatoes.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you do too, Terrence, because having your German background.
No, I'm with you. I prefer mayonnaise base. I don't like vinegar or the mustard. Like, just give me straight mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I will go, if I'm going off the reservation, some onions in there. But, the mayonnaise base, that's right up my alley. Yeah, I'll do corn on the cob. My girls like corn on the cob much more than I do, but I tend to make it. See, we're going to do this whole next segment. We're just going to be talking food.
Let's keep going.
You know what? And I'll tell you something. Our audience loves that. They get in the chat and they will talk food. We'll be talking about wars and, assassination attempts. And they're like, did you have a donut today? I love it.
Well, you can eat your way through headlines. Go for it,
Go for it, T.
I know. We got to get to headlines.
All right, well, let me take a bite out of these headlines then. This holiday weekend, expect a major surge in travel with record-breaking numbers of people hitting the road, flying, and taking other modes of transportation. If you're going to be hitting the road, AAA predicts that nearly 71 million people are going to be doing the same, most traveling 50 or more miles to celebrate the holiday. And if that's you, then you may want to hit the road on Monday before 11 a.m. in order to avoid peak traffic. If you're concerned about gas prices, don't be, because this weekend, prices are expected to be around $3.20 a gallon. If you're flying the friendly skies, the number of air travelers is expected to set a new record this year, with 5.74 million people projected to fly and over 4.6 million people expected to travel by bus, cruise, or train. That's a 9% increase over last year. And what is on your table this holiday weekend? We already previewed what's on ours. Hot dogs and hamburgers are hands down the most consumed foods on the 4th of July. According to Time to Play, who gathered and analyzed data from across these United States, it varies depending on where you live. Across the board, though, the top July 4th dishes include potato salad. I'm all for that. Baked beans, I definitely like those as well. Deviled eggs, haven't had deviled eggs in a while, but I like them as well. Macaroni salad, not such a big thing in our household, but if you make good macaroni salad, go for it. Smoked brisket, yeah, all there. Grilled corn, my girls like that, as I mentioned. And smoked ribs, yeah, I'm all about that today. Honorable mentions include smoked chicken wings. We typically do that at our house as well. Coleslaw, grilled prawns. I'm not so sure about that one. Grilled prawns? That's interesting. Cheesecake wraps it up. Of course, a lot of people eat cheesecake for dessert. So, what did the founding fathers eat on July 4th, you ask? Well, legend has it that on July 4th of 1776, John Adams and his wife, Abigail, celebrated the country's independence with a meal of turtle soup, poached salmon with egg sauce, green peas, and new potatoes and jackets, which sort of sounds dreadful compared to a hamburger or a hot dog and some incredible side dishes, but it is an interesting meal there, an interesting menu. Turtle soup, I don't think I've ever had that. And the poached salmon sounds good, but in egg sauce, that's the one that has me a little confused. Egg sauce, I don't know what that is. Anyway, are you planning on tuning in for Macy's big 4th of July fireworks display? If so, you're not alone. 3 million people expected to be in attendance in New York City to watch the fireworks in person while on TV, and across other platforms, NBC is hoping to match or at least beat last year's show, which drew 7.6 million viewers across all platforms. The big show cost Macy's roughly $6 million to put on, and the fireworks are shot from 5 barges positioned around downtown through Midtown Manhattan. Some of the pyrotechnics, by the way, will reach heights of 1,000 feet. All the fun starts tonight at 8 p.m. with various music acts and celebrities, but if you're simply watching for the fireworks, well, they typically start around 9:25 and they last for about 30 minutes. Enjoy that show. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now back to David.
All right, T. Bates, appreciate it. Turning our attention now from the holiday to the presidency. It's been 166 days since President Trump took a seat behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. That, of course, is his second round of the presidency. Sorry, Kamala. Sorry, AOC. So what have been some of his biggest achievements so far? Well, for that, we turn to Rav's White House correspondent, Brian Glenn, who has been following it every step of the way. Brian, good to see you. Happy 4th of July, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm extremely hungry now. And Terrence, I'll follow up on Terrence Ellett and Dr. Gina. And I love this conversation, by the way, and I agree with everyone so far. But I want to be the one that brings the homemade ice cream.
Oh, I love homemade ice cream. Great idea. Yeah, I'm sitting here texting my husband a list of things that I want him to go to the store and get if he can.
Brian, you just earned yourself an invitation to our next family cookout with the homemade ice cream.
Yes.
Done. Consider it done.
Yeah,
what a great tradition
no Ben
here
and
in America. Yeah.
No Ben and Jerry's, I'm assuming.
No. No.
Never.
Ben and Jerry's.
No.
Ever.
No, for sure. So what do you think, by the way, Brian? What if I was curious? What do you think have been some of Trump's biggest victories so far? Sorry, did I cut you off about your homemade ice cream? I feel horrible.
We keep forgetting and talking about food.
I actually forgot.
I feel horrible.
I was so focused on food. No, President Trump. I think one of his biggest accomplishments, really, a couple things. I like what he's done with the culture in America. We brought our nation's pride back. We brought the support for our military back. We just came, 3 weeks ago, we had the biggest military parade I think we've ever had in this country, and I was proud to be there on the ground watching it, like many of our viewers watched it. He brought patriotism back to this country, a love of country, when we went through 4 years of Joe Biden absolutely destroying any type of patriotism that anyone would have and not making us proud. And now we have a leader on stage. The images you're looking at right there. He brought manufacturing back to this country. He brought the steel workers in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio. He brought production back to America. He brought pride back to America, national pride back to America. He actually, one of the things he did, and we were there in the West Room there, the East Room rather, was he signed an executive order banning men and women's sports. That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, it's huge.
Yeah.
And so on the cultural side, he did that. Hey, we renamed a body of water the Gulf of America. Who can't be proud about that?
Those hats are everywhere. Yep.
Yeah, especially on July 4th. Why not love it?
Exactly. Brian, have you ever had toad in the hole?
I don't think I have.
It's an English dish. I made it yesterday, and it was actually really, really good. You ought to look it up and find the easy recipe and make it. It's very good. I want to focus.
Siri, what is toad in the hole?
It's like sausage inside of like a pancake with gravy.
Yes.
Fantastic. I highly recommend. Let's talk about, for one moment, something newsy again. Want to fine-tune our focus to the Trump cabinet. Who stands out to you as the most surprising and formerly underrated member who's excelled in their capacity in his cabinet?
I've got two of them. I've got Kristi Noem, in my opinion. I didn't have... it's not that I didn't have expectations for. I didn't know what to expect, because you take someone that was a governor of a state that, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot going on there in her state. But you put her in charge of Homeland Security, especially coming off 4 years of Joe Biden. She has a large task there, and she has done a phenomenal job in that. And number two is Pete Hegseth. I think he's turned around, like we said a few minutes ago, the military. Now people want to sign up and enlist in the military. They've hit all their recruitment goals. They've hit all their quotas of who they want to, get volunteer and people coming forward, obviously, to serve in our military. So he's brought that back. I think actually, let me rephrase this. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them have done a phenomenal job because they're inheriting a very difficult time in America financially, security, foreign policy was a disaster. There was no foreign policy with Joe Biden. He just threw a dart at the board, and whatever it landed, that was his take on that country. So President Trump has put the best of the best in front of the American people, and he's let them do their job. He's enabled them to do their job, and I think it's important.
Hey, Brian, before we let you go, I want to ask you a bit of a personal question. Has covering this administration...
I think we have no more time left in this segment. We're done. Audio, check. For some reason, I lost you there. Go ahead.
That's hilarious. No, has covering during this administration been what you expected? And I asked you that question because I was watching a news conference the other day. It was a press gaggle, and it really turned out to be more of a conversation between you and President Trump. The other reporters just happened to be party to that. And it was an interesting dynamic to watch unfold.
Terrence, that was a very special moment, and I've had a lot of people approach me, and they love the intimacy of that conversation. It was about the big, beautiful flagpole that he was putting down. He was so interested in telling everyone that it went 9 feet down, it was packed with sand, not dirt, because dirt can erode the pole. He was so passionate about that project, and it just so happens we talked about other issues. We talked about, obviously, what's going on in Iran. We talked about golf. We talked about his personal time. We talked about everything. So that was a very special moment. I want more of those moments. I think if we had more of those moments with President Trump, I think it would change the tone of the media and the way they approach him in a softer, more personal way.
I've always thought that too, Brian. Like his natural persona is so not just authentic, but magnetic, that I want the American public to just see more. If I were him, I'd just have cameras around with me that were public, like a C-SPAN all the time. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, Brian,
let me go ahead and call the pizza place. Let me get my pizza. You guys got homemade food. I'm calling a pizza. Yes, I'd like to place an order for pickup, please.
You do that, Brian. I've been multitasking. Yeah, for sure. I've been listening to everything you've been saying. I've also been Google imaging Toad in the Hole. It looks delicious, by the way.
Delicious.
So, good to see you.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Have a great rest of the day, brother.
Thank you.
All right. We'll hopefully get the show back on track here in a moment. The special July 4th edition of American Sunrise in just a moment. Back in a moment, everybody. Woohoo! Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. Great to have you with us this morning. All right, time now to drain the swamp. And look, we've got fireworks, how do we say this, of another kind this morning. Not pretty, because this morning we're flushing out House Democrats in Oregon. Here's the headline from the Washington Stand, and it says it all. Drag show on Oregon's House floor sparks outrage. And you can say that again. Democrats decided to use valuable time in the Oregon legislature to invite a couple of drag queen performers to strut their stuff on the House floor to honor Pride Month. It was sponsored by the first openly black LGBT member of the Oregon House, to honor a resolution that he was pushing that celebrates the history of black drag in Oregon. And now, everybody, we've come to the part of the story and the show where we show you what went down on the Oregon House floor. And sadly, here it is. Yuck. At the end, the performance literally received a standing ovation from the Democrat lawmakers who were present. Let's bring in Dr. G, Terrence, to talk about this. Okay.
I'm sorry, did you say something, David? There was some clamor. I couldn't. Something's wrong, I think, with my IFB. I'm just kidding. No, that was horrendous.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Listen,
Is this thing working?
it's fireworks. I don't know. That's the transition. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I don't know what to tell you. Go ahead, Gina, please. Do you even want to say anything about this, really?
Can we talk about food again instead? Or perhaps we could talk about fun 4th of July fashion. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point? What was the point?
There was no point. That's the point, I think.
Yeah.
Like, okay. What's the point? What's to be gained? And let's not even get into what's appropriate for the halls of any state legislature.
Well, we can get into that too.
That's a whole nother conversation. But what's the point? Like, what's there to be gained? And I'm asking that rhetorically, but I would love an answer from someone. Like, what's there to be gained from this? How do the people of Oregon benefit from this? I'd love for a lawmaker or the lawmaker responsible to answer that one question. And I'm even open to truly listening in a way. Yeah, okay, I'm going in with a preconceived notion, yes, and a prejudice. But I would love that answer, and I'm not so sure the people of Oregon will ever get a reasonable answer. All right, I'm done. I'm good.
Well, listen, I mean, I don't have an answer for you, but I can just tell you this. Let's just forget about the content for a second, though, quite frankly, we can't forget about that content. But let's forget about it for a second. Are they going to have evangelicals going down the aisle with tambourines, praising Jesus? I mean, that's not happening either, by the way, though not a bad idea. But anyhow, the point is not happening. So, stop. I mean, this isn't Broadway. So can we just stop, Gina? I mean, I don't know. Gina doesn't want to say anything more about this story. I've decided.
Can a Christian come in and sing some hymns, some good old-fashioned hymns? I bet they wouldn't even let that happen. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Let's call it what it is. It's evil. It's debauchery. Yep. It's mocking. It's mocking everything that is sacred about this country that was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. It's disgusting. Yep. And I never care to see anything like that again. I'm sorry it gets any attention, and I'm sorry we have to play it, but it is what it is.
And remember, Democrat lawmakers gave them a standing ovation. Let's remember that, too. We're back with more of this special Independence Day edition of American Sunrise in 2 minutes. Back in a moment, folks.
It's Manhattan, New York. Good morning to you, and thanks so much for being here with us on this special Independence Day, edition of American Sunrise. I'm Terrence Bates. I guess that's what I get for being a smart aleck and calling Manhattan. Well, I know that you expect me to cover the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, but today, the stock exchange is closed. There is no bell, no market, but we still have a treat for you instead. If you watch Real America's Voice, then you already know our next guest, Vinnie Mack, my guy. He's one of the guys who are often part of the fun with the guys that are live from Studio 6B nightly. Because being dead from Studio 6B would be no fun, he's joining us right now. Vinnie, what's going on, brother? Good morning.
Yeah, I love that intro. Thank you very much.
You like that? And do I have it right? Manhattan. Isn't that how the Upper East Side crowd, the Manhattan folks call it? They don't call it Manhattan. It's Manhattan from Manhattan.
You got to say that with a little movement, though. Manhattan. Like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I get it. See, I'm going to have to practice. I got it. By the end of the show, I'll have it. All right, let's talk about it. Let's get to brass tacks here. Talk about why Independence Day is going to be a little bit different for you.
This is, frankly, a very different Independence Day. The last 4 years, yeah, barbecues, fireworks, things are, same as they always are. But we got our country back. We got back to, real equality, law and order, faith, values in general, the American dream. So I feel like what Trump has done with not just himself, his administration, the entire MAGA movement, is we got back to our roots, kind of what this country's all about. So it's sort of a real Independence Day. It feels like that, almost from that movie where you kind of get some chills because you see, the great leadership that Trump's been providing since he got in office and bringing back those values. So for me, it's that. It's more of getting back to what Independence Day really meant and really is about, rather than what we've had to live with, for some time.
Vin, you live in a blue state, but your warehouse is firmly in deep red Suffolk County. How is the pro-Trump contingent on Long Island being surrounded by a city of blue liberals and Manhattan elites?
Oh boy, it is a real challenge. You should see my Facebook feed. I mean, talk about battles. It's a daily thing. But Long Island is very red in one of the major counties, which is Suffolk County. And then, as you mentioned, a large part of it is blue. So we have a very loyal and very, very loud voice from a MAGA standpoint, and just also from a conservative standpoint. And we shoot our show in the America First warehouse. This place is literally a shrine to the movement and to America's values. So we get people coming Friday night for our live show, 30, 40, 50, 60 people. We had 450 one time. People come out, they see our show, but they also are very loud in celebrating MAGA and Trump and the conservative movement in general.
Hey, Vinnie Mack, it's David Brody here. So what's been the most memorable Trump moment for you? I mean, there's been so many. I mean, I think of Zelensky in the Oval Office. That's a good one. But there's so many. What do you think?
Well, for me, safety is always a big thing. I kind of look at everything and I'm like, if we're safe and the economy's good, those are the moments I look for. And when he came out immediately, when that State of the Union speech and just said, there's no problem with the legal side of the border. You don't need legislation. You don't need these things. Mm-hmm. You just needed a new president. For me, that set the platform and the standard for everything he's going to be doing going forward. And, it happens to be 100% right. And I just feel like we went from Biden and then suddenly Trump shows up and says that and just puts it right down there in brass tacks. Here's what it is. You got a new president. Things are going to change. That was my moment.
Yep.
Hey, Vinnie, I'm curious, and maybe I'm going into this a little misguided, but it seems to me that New York gives you a unique perspective, if you will, on where the country is going right now, particularly, the influence that MAGA is having. And I ask that question because New York is notoriously blue, and it sounds like, to me, from the folks I'm talking to, that people are starting to come to their senses in New York. What are you seeing since you're on the ground there? Are you seeing more people adopting MAGA principles, or at least being more open to what MAGA has to say there in New York?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing it, and I think the Israeli situation and the Jewish community in particular, they are really upset. And Trump, as we've seen, is doing everything he can to protect, our number one ally and our interests there. So overall, we still have a hardcore liberal aspect. I know a little while back the Democrats just nominated a crazy progressive mayor. So that's a little scary that someone like that can actually get votes, any votes. But aside from that, I have seen very good movement, and I've seen it in that area. And the economy's quite good. It's just we're getting taxed to death, and people are really starting to recognize that frustration. I think California has a lot to do with that, because they're seeing what happens in California tax-wise and benefits-wise for illegals and all of that, and they're really starting to pay a little more attention. So I do see a change. I see a change everywhere I travel. I'm all over the country, and I see a lot of change in California, frankly, a lot. Some people that I would never expect that would feel that way.
You got plans tonight, Vinny? What's going on? Are we sitting on the couch watching Netflix, or what are you doing exactly?
Well, I'm down here in West Palm at the studio here. So if there's no stone crab claws, that would be my number one priority, is to find somewhere to go to Joe's. But now I'm flying back tonight. I got to do the show tomorrow. So I've had a good few days down here. You know, it's so beautiful down here. I don't know, you guys get down to West Palm often, but it's a beautiful place. So that's it. No real plans. I'm pretty much a homebody.
I'm going to hope that Go ahead, Terrence.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, since you like crab, I'm going to invite you to David Brody's house. He's in Maryland,
right.
Which, as you guys know, has the best crab in the world. Yes, I'm a little partial. So, David, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go on and invite him to your house. You take care of the crabs. Make sure you get a big old bushel, put out some newspaper on the table, and we can just go for it.
I will do that. Sadly, I hate crab, but that's all right.
David,
Vinny, I'll set you up a table for one, if you don't mind.
Wait, I'll come,
I still
David.
like you.
Vinny,
table for two.
I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to go to Benny's on the Beach here in Palm Beach, and you need to have their conch fritters.
Oh.
That's what Palm Beach is known for, are conch fritters. I didn't even know what that was, I don't think, when I moved here initially. But I've learned, and very good, very crabby-esque.
Yeah, there's nothing like those stone crabs down here. They're magical. But I will tell you, I've been to O'Bricky's in Baltimore. Spent a lot of time there, so I love those crabs there. I love crab cakes. They got to be authentic, though. Yeah.
How is it that this show comes back to food every single block today? Every single block.
You know what? We're going to talk about Toad in the Hole here in just a moment. I can just feel it.
Toad in the Hole.
I can just feel that's coming.
Yummy.
Have you ever had Toad in the Hole? Do you know what that is, Vinny?
I have no idea what that is. No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
I have
Italian.
some at my house right now. Leftovers, Vinny. I'll fix you up.
Oh, gosh.
That is hilarious.
Well.
Hey guys, really quickly, I've just been thinking, and I can't say that I really have any memories of celebrating Independence Day as a kid. For me, more of my memories are as an adult now. Do you guys have childhood memories, like anything that really just kind of resonates as it relates to celebrating?
I have a great one. So a couple weeks ago, I went back to Missouri to an 80th birthday party for a good friend, actually sister of my mother, adopted sister, but that's a long story. Anyway, her daughter and I were talking about when we were children, and I remember that my dad had bought me, you remember the parachutes that you shot off and the parachute went there?
Yes.
Well, I was so mad at Beth, I didn't want to say how many decades this is later, because she went and took my pink parachute guy that my dad had bought me, and I could never forget that I wanted that pink pair. You remember the guy parachutes out and you would go find him out in the woods? How fun was that? I don't know whatever happened to those. Do they still make those? Vinny, you've got to know.
I had them. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was that and like those little race cars that Mattel used to make. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you could shoot those out of the fireworks. Do they still make those?
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, we're
all collectors.
We're all old. Mattel cars.
Yeah, I think we just aged ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm going to go find.
I still like the snakes in the sparklers. For what it's worth, I don't need my kids blowing stuff up. I like just the little snakes in the sparklers. That makes me so happy. I don't know why we have to have explosions in a backyard, but Vinny.
A lot of smoke with those things, I believe, right? They spin around and you get smoke. Yeah.
Ooh, and the smoke bombs. I love the way they smell.
Yeah. We had a great childhood back then. Nobody worried about this stuff, right? Everybody's freaked out about everything now. I love those days.
Yeah.
Who cares about zoning ordinances? Exactly.
Yeah. What the heck with them?
Right. Hey, Vinnie Mack, we appreciate you being here, brother. Safe travels back home, by the way.
And say hi to the guys on the Studio 6B. We want to say hi to all of them.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate being on here, and a happy Independence Day and Taking America Back Day.
Yes.
Thank you.
There you go. Amen, my brother. Thanks so much. All right, folks, we're going to be back with more of this special Independence Day edition of American Sunrise in just a moment. Stick around.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop on in our Getter conversation. Why do I do that every time? Conversation on Getter and Rumble. They're in the chat. We have a good time. We talk about a lot of food. So if you haven't got enough food talk today, there you go. You know where to go. Now it's time to take the political pulse of America. The Beat today, the Rasmussen Report's daily presidential tracking poll for now shows that 52% of likely U.S. voters approve of President Trump's job performance. 47% disapprove. The latest figures include 36% who strongly approve of the job he is doing and 39% who strongly disapprove. So just about balanced all the way across the board. Turning back to the Independence Day holiday and joining us now to weigh in on his version of the 4th of July fun is Joe Bob Talefi. He is the host of Turning Point Tonight here on RAV. Welcome back to American Sunrise. What do you think about these polling numbers? Do you think they'll hold a little bit longer? What do you think they'll be like next time that poll is taken? And most importantly, what will you be eating on your holiday weekend? Because that seems to be the topic that we go back to every time, no matter what.
That's a big loaded question. As far as the polling goes, you know what I always think is fascinating about national polling, especially on the approval of the president, especially a conservative president. It is amazing that conservatives win anything, considering how much the media continues to batter, especially President Trump. So when you see positive polls come out that President Trump's approval rating is high or very high, I take that as, okay, it's probably even higher than that, assuming people don't take in the garbage broadcast networks and cable news and all of your mainstream media outlets. If those weren't there, just blatantly lying to people, I would imagine the approval rate would be substantially higher than it already is. So with high approval rating for President Trump, I would say I take that as a huge win over the American people. Do I think it'll hold? I can't see anything in the near future that's going to make them go away. I can only see things continuing to go positively. So all things good signs, especially given the media culture and the climate and how much they've come after President Trump. I think that number is probably higher if you were to ask Americans, sans the lib media.
So let's talk about substance. Over these last 166 days or so, what do you think President Trump's biggest accomplishments have been? And then I'm just going to add on to the story. Give him a grade so far.
You know, policy-wise, it's honestly tough to say. I'm a huge proponent of getting all the illegals out of the country. Obviously, he's working as hard to do that. Zoom out 30,000 feet, right, outside of the specific policy stuff. I think the biggest accomplishment is the tenacity that he's showing the American people. And I know that's not really tangible and it's not quantifiable, but you can see it and you can feel it. The other day, I don't know, last week when President Trump was walking out to the helicopter, just lambasted CNN. I think that's great. And again, you can't quantify that. You can't put the tangible number on that. There's no ratings for it. There's really no polling. But that feeling, that feeling inside of Americans that go, you know what? Yeah, we're being lied to. You know what? And we're going to take this country back. And I think that is my biggest positive. Again, you can look at all the policy stuff. You can look at DOGE. You can look at the cuts to the waste, fraud, and abuse. You can look at immigration. You can look at law enforcement getting revitalized. But if I were to take a step back and kind of look at it as a whole picture, my biggest thing that I think President Trump has accomplished so greatly is instilling that American spirit that I think has been wavering among Americans just in the last, for a long time now. And isn't it fitting on the 4th of July that I feel like that is, in my opinion, the greatest accomplishment. Again, not tangible, not quantifiable, but that's how I feel the president is really instilling American values in Americans again.
Yeah, and also authenticity. The authenticity is just amazing. And what I love about Trump is that I don't care if you put him in one venue, you put him in a different venue, he's gonna say the same thing. I mean, you put him in an inner city, an impoverished inner city, and then he'll come out and say, "What the hell do you have to lose? You might as well go with me." Remember that from the first campaign. I mean, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Also, by the way, if this president of the United States thing doesn't work out, he's got to be the best comedian that we've seen in a very long time. I mean, his comedic humor. I mean, it's just on point and it's just perfect. Joe.
Yeah, so I do stand up. That's a kind of the second job, if you will. It was always funny to me watching President Trump on the campaign trail because he would do lots of speaking events. And to your point, he is a funny guy. And as a guy who kind of understands working through the process of nailing a joke, you would kind of see that in real time as he'd give these speeches all over the country. Okay, this joke didn't really land here. Let me try and retool it and try it somewhere else. And okay, I figured out the wording here, and okay, big laugh. And it's funny because I'm not even sure he's doing that intentionally. It's just kind of happening innately. And so, yeah, the entertainer and comedian that the president is, I personally get a lot of joy out of it. And, I don't know if this makes me a good or bad person. I also get a lot of joy out of the libs just so mad about the jokes that he makes too. Again, maybe that makes me a bad person, but I do delight in it just a little bit.
All right, Joe Bob, before we let you go, and I think you kind of set the stage, so it brings to mind this question. What do you see setting President Trump apart from any other modern day president? What makes him so unique? And you kind of touched on it, but let's dive a little deeper.
One of my presidential heroes growing up, and again, I wasn't around for the actual policy, but Ronald Reagan and the way he communicated to the American people, I think I remember seeing a video of him, I think, debating Walter Mondale, where they questioned Reagan's age. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to let youth and inexperience of my candidates hammer this. I'm not going to get the joke right. Go look it up. But for me, it's always been the way presidents have communicated to the American people. Literally nobody has done it better than President Trump. It's always about what the people are understanding coming out of the White House. He obviously has surrogates and he goes to the press secretary, but he talks directly to the American people. And that is not something that we've seen really at all in the recent presidential past. I mentioned Reagan, more of the guy could communicate to the American people. And that's exactly what I think Trump thrives at. The policy stuff, I mean, just your average American is on his side on pretty much everything from what he wants to do policy-wise. But the way that he's able to articulate that to the American people, not in this highfalutin, just hoity-toity DC way that you so often see presidential candidates and consultants talk, but he talks to everyday people better than I think anybody. And I think that's what sets him apart, especially in the last 20 years of presidents of the U.S.
Go ahead, Gina.
You mentioned that you're a comedian. I have to believe that part of the reason you love doing comedy is because it's such a uniting force. I mean, you sit in an audience and you're laughing, and it doesn't have to be Republican or Democrat. I'm so bothered today by the lack of patriotism on the left side of this country. I want them to be patriots. I don't mind if they disagree with me on some issues, but I want them to love God and country. And they used to love God and country. And they used to be for the little guy, and they used to have some values that were at least ideals, right? They weren't just for purpose of profit and power, which is what all that seems the Democrats are about these days, and sort of degradation and evil, frankly, going ahead and actually voting God out of their own platform. So I guess for me, I wonder what you think can heal that, because I'm surprised by the latest polling numbers that we discussed in a former block, that only basically 47% of people approve of the job Donald Trump is doing, and I can't see what he's doing wrong now. I think he'll do some things that'll be controversial, and maybe those numbers will change at some point, but right now it just seems like we should be at a patriotic all-time high, and we should be united on things, whether Donald Trump notwithstanding, just on the things America's doing. And we're not. What do you see as the caveat there? I'm sure you're not going to say comedy, but is it teaching history? Is it education? Is it ministering to certain communities? What are we doing wrong that half our country even believes in God and country?
Well, there's so many different layers to this, and we could probably do a 3-hour podcast on this. But I think briefly, to bring it back to comedy, things that are funny in your everyday life or in a stand-up comedy show are things that are true. There's a saying, buy the premise, buy the bit. In other words, if it's relatable to you, it's going to be funny. And what that really is, if you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, is that truth is funny and truth is uniting. Unfortunately, like you said, we've got half of the country batting their heads against the wall, against the brick wall of truth. Eventually, they're going to swing back around, because you can try to alter the way you do things. You can try to say that human nature is not what it is. But at the end of the day, human nature doesn't change. Truth doesn't change. Reality doesn't change. And you've got an entire side of the aisle that is so steeped in this. Honestly, it's their pride, I think, that is disabling them from coming around to seeing reality. What I think we do about it, and this is again my own personal take. You have to show people why something is true, why something is real, why something is valid. And I think comedy, but the arts in general, oftentimes is a thing that's neglected amongst conservatives, because conservatives are facts don't care about your feelings. And that is 100% true. And there also are other ways to reach people. And I think if we continue to push in that comedic vein, that artistic vein, to represent things that are true and beautiful, we will eventually start changing hearts and minds, maybe not necessarily entirely just through the logical arguments, which we also have, but through the representation and the presentation of truth in the world that we exist in.
And
not
maybe, since there's a little bit more of a freedom of speech thing going on, Joe Bob, maybe that freedom of speech will facilitate a way for that to happen. Anyway, thank you for your perspective. We appreciate you. God bless you. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, the show Turning Point tonight here on RAV. Don't forget to tune in. We'll be back with more of this July 4th special edition of American Sunrise right after the break.
Let's spill some tea.
Let's Spill Some Tea is sponsored by Artillery Tea Company. ArtilleryTCO.com is the website. Use the promo code America's Tea for 25% off of your first order. Artillery Tea is all natural. It's whole leaf. The tea bags are chemical free, and each can be used twice. Artillery Tea Company is family and veteran owned and operated, and a portion of your purchase goes to help veteran and first responder charities. ArtilleryTCO.com. Use the promo code America's Tea for 25% off of your first order. All right, let's get right into what's in the cup this morning. And we're talking about Independence Day and the strong ties that our nation's celebration of independence has to tea. The Boston Tea Party, of course, was a pivotal event leading up to the American Revolution and the eventual fight and victory, allowing the colonies to declare their independence from British rule. An issue, among other things, was taxation without representation, as colonists argued that they were being taxed by the British government without having a voice in the policies that affected them. Nearly 250 years later, taxation remains a challenge in this country as the Trump administration continues taking steps to cut the size and scope of the Internal Revenue Service. There have, of course, even been talks recently of abolishing the service itself and instead funding the country and federal agencies with income potentially even from tariffs. So we'd love to hear what you think about all of this. Let us know on Get On Rumble. It's your chance to join us for the conversation on this Independence Day. Hop on, let your voice to be heard. All right, folks, we're back with more of this special Independence Day edition of American Sunrise in just a moment.
Rav Family, from the group who brought you the hit songs 81 Million Votes, My Ass, MAGA Nation, and Trader Joe, comes a brand new single at midnight tonight. Daddy Trump drops, and we need you to make some noise. Go download it on iTunes. The second the clock strikes 12, let's run it up to #1 on the charts for President Trump.
I just want to thank everybody very much.
Get ready. You're about to get bombed by the truth bomber.
Didn't raise y'all, but I had to step up. Put the Ayatollah on a no-cap checkup. He calls me Daddy Trump. NATO knows what's up. Why they played pretend, I call they bluff. Kim and Vlad acting bad, throwing fits on the floor. BB screaming from the back, saying, Daddy, there's a war. I walk in like Sunday school.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks so much for joining us today. It is time now for our Sunny Side Up. And in the pan today, July 4th plans. Guys, I want to know what you're doing once we finish this show. And I'm going to challenge you, David, besides eating.
Yes.
Is there anything
I knew you were going to
else?
say besides, no, there really isn't anything else, but I promise I won't mention food. I promise I won't mention food. I'm going to be with the in-laws. We typically go over our in-laws, or they come over here, and then we light fireworks, and the police are called. No, the police are never called. But we light fireworks, and that's a lot of fun. And then sometimes, and I think tonight we will actually go to some sort of local fireworks show. It's actually a very good show, but the key to a local fireworks show is make sure you don't get buried in the parking lot. And I don't mean physically buried. I just mean your car. Make sure you got an easy escape route at the end. Otherwise, it's 45 minutes in the parking lot and everybody's trying to get out. And then I'm getting frustrated, and then I can't wait till July 5th. As a matter of fact, at that point, I might be in the car on July 5th if it's really that bad. So Gina, those are my plans. What about you?
You know, you got to come over to our house, David, because we don't go to any fireworks shows. And the reason is because we have one in our backyard because we live right on the water. And so the fireworks shows will be all up and down the water. And so we just sit out there in our little Adirondack chairs. I always light a campfire, which my family thinks is psychotic because it is, after all, summer in July in South Florida. But I do it for the ambiance. I just like it. And then we'll sit around, and we have some friends that just grew and slaughtered their own hog. And so they're going to bring some of that over to the house. And as I said before, Terrence, my kids will go off the end of our dock and blow things up. My kids and my big kid, my husband, who acts like a sixth grader on 4th of July and gets that license because he's the man of the house. He can do it if he wants. Terrence, how about you?
I'm going to be similar to David. We'll probably go to a local park and watch the fireworks. But before I even go into my plans, so Dr. Gina, what I'm hearing is that you're going to be living high off the hog tonight.
High on the hog. High on the hog.
There you go. I've been waiting on. I got that when I was like, "Ooh, this is an opportunity to use that saying." High on the hog. Yeah, we're going to go to a local park, watch the fireworks, and I really enjoy that. And unfortunately, it comes back to food. I just like being around the people, hanging out and chit chatting, getting to meet your neighbors, even if they're not necessarily in your neighborhood. But typically here, there are also food trucks on site. So even after I've been gluttonous and eating at home, I tend to go to the food trucks and try food that I normally might not. So
well, here's a little
secret. Food for me, I enjoy that.
I knew food would come up. I knew
it had to.
We couldn't last.
See, here's a little secret.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gina. Tell us the secret. I can't wait to hear.
Everyone leaves for the summer. And they go other places. And it's so great because you really have no neighbors. And so it's just you in this neighborhood, kind of all by yourselves, your own family. And so there's no dogs to bark at your fireworks. There's nobody to bother you. And it's just nice and quiet. It takes me about 7 minutes to get to work instead of about 25 minutes to get to work. It's nice, Terrence.
That's nice.
I get that.
No.
When your neighbors leave, give me their addresses and I'm going to come squat. Come squat at their homes.
That's great. I love it. By the way, I have a quick childhood memory, and it's not really, it's about my childhood, but it's really about my father. So it'll take 20 seconds or so.
Tell it.
He was a square dance caller. I kid you not. He was a square dance caller.
Oh, my gosh, David Brody. Your family just gets more fascinating by the minute.
You never know the trivia I'm going to throw out. Anyhow, on July 4th, he would always wear, I can just visually picture it now. I'm closing my eyes. The red, white, and blue, how do I say this? Jumpsuit, like an Evel Knievel jumpsuit.
Okay.
I kid you not.
All right.
And he was doing that whole thing. And then my stepmother was wearing like the red, white, and blue frilly, dress. And honestly, I was wholly embarrassed. I was 12 or 13 years old, and I didn't want to be seen within 0.75 miles of either one of them. But anyhow, I love my dad. He's great, but that's my memory.
Square dancing has made a comeback. Are there a lot of Jewish square dance colors?
No, I don't think so. Same thing with Jewish Hall of Fame players in sports. I think there's like zero.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Well, that's some trivia we all needed today. Well, whatever you all are doing.
Is the Evel Knievel jumpsuit still a thing? Like, do you still own the jumpsuit? I'm sorry, David, but I see you running around on Independence Day in an Evel Knievel jumpsuit.
Yeah, that's what I see too.
Yes.
That's where I thought you were going with this.
I have it in my closet. No, I don't.
Well, you guys, to you and to our audience, no matter what you're doing to celebrate our Independence Day, have a wonderful, blessed, and safe one.
Yes.
And don't eat too much, Terrence. Did I say Terrence? Great show today, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We have so much more for you every single morning. Starts every morning during the weekdays at 8 a.m. And actually, not tomorrow, because tomorrow will be Saturday. War Room is up next. You guys hug your children, love your God. Oh, my goodness. We almost forgot. Yes. Colby's scared. He's like, what happened, Mom? Happy Puppy Friday. War Room is up next. You guys, go boldly now. Live the truth.
Smoke ribs,
guys.
President recognizes Mr. Adams of Massachusetts.